Okay, so since people keep fucking asking me about it, and this is apparently too difficult to figure out with all the fucking nerds and their heavy breathing, not explaining shit properly, I decided I'd just go ahead and do a quick rundown. And when I say quick, I mean it's probably gonna be like 20 minutes. This shit is complicated. And right now we're just gonna be fucking with the launcher. And you may be wondering, why? I just want to get into the fucking game. Shut your fucking mouth. We're doing the fucking launcher because it's important. It sets up how the game's gonna fucking be. So this shit is important to know. You have a lot of fucking settings that you can change here. You got mods, you got different invaders. Invaders is just shit that'll come and attack your fort. You got world gen, you can change how the world is. So there is a lot to know here. And just gonna start with initialization. It's not terribly difficult. Most of this deals with FPS things and graphics. Like here you've got color sets, those just change how things are colored in the world. Font just changes which fonts you're gonna use. And then the tile set, there is a shitload of them to pick from, and they all look different. Some of them have sprites, some of them don't. I just use Meph. I just think it's the best one. And then over here we got cave-ins. Now cave-ins, what that is, when you have floors that aren't supported by anything, either from something beneath it or from something around it, like if you just have a square block that's not supported by anything, it'll collapse down. And depending on how much collapses, it can either be not a big deal, or it can crash through every single level of your fort and kill everybody, and then you lose. This has happened to me before, and it sucks. Turning off invaders, I really don't recommend that. It makes the game kind of boring, in my opinion. If you just want to play The Sims, I guess you could turn this off. But, I don't know. I guess if it's your first time, you could turn it off. That wouldn't be too bad. Just to kind of get used to how the game runs with all the fucking keybinds and the whatnot. So, if you want to. And then adventurer traps. If you're gonna be playing adventurer mode, you only need to worry about these. But I don't, so I don't care. Pet coffins, I would leave this on, cause if one of your orcs or your dwarves, whatever, if one of their pets dies and you don't bury them, it'll piss them off, so don't do that. Population cap, that just means the population of your fort. It doesn't mean the population of the world in total. That's over here in World Gen. I usually leave this at about 250, but I have a pretty good computer, so yours might not be able to handle 250. I don't know. You can give it a try, cause on your first fortress, I really doubt you're gonna make it to 250. Unless you're playing with invaders off. I mean, even then, there are things you can do that will get yourself killed. So you probably won't make it to 250 on your very first fort. You could, but anyways, you can just leave it to there, and then as it starts to get too laggy to play, you'll know what your computer can handle. And then the 10 to 20, it just means the first number is an absolute cap on babies and children. The second, as it says there, it's a percentage of the current number of adults. So what that means, if you have 100 adults, then you can have 20% of that number. If you only have, say, 40 adults, you can still get up to 10 children or 10 babies. It has to be one of they're both counted in the same number. So if you get to 250, you're not going to be stuck with just 10 kids, essentially. And I usually just leave this cap there, because I don't find that I have enough kids that it's that much of a problem. They grow up fast enough that you don't really have to worry about this percentage bullshit. The autosave pauses, this is fine just as it is. I leave the autosave on seasonal, just in case, because sometimes you might forget to save. that can really fucking suck when you have a crash, or if your computer just fucks up. Like, it's just good to have this autosave on seasonal. And yearly it's not enough, and never obviously isn't enough either. And then window, I keep it on windowed mode, that's up to you. Priority, now this one's important. because this decides how much processor time you're gonna get, and I put it on real time, and you should too. Calendar speed. Okay, this is kind of a little complicated, but essentially there are two different types of time in game. There's calendar speed, and then there's unit tick. Unit tick decides things like sickness. It decides how quickly you heal from wounds. It decides how fast you move. Every tick in game is one action. So one tick, you can, if you're a fast person and you're not weighed down too much, you can move one tile in one tick. Depending on how much you're carrying, depending on how slow you are, whether one of your legs is crippled, it may take more ticks to move. And so, like 1,000 ticks is usually more than enough to get over a disease, a non-lethal one. And those ticks are independent of calendar speed. Calendar speed determines things like how quickly you grow. It determines when trade caravans will come. It determines when invaders will come. So unit time will decide how quickly you train, how quickly your dwarves gain skills or stats, how quickly they heal, how quickly your crops grow, for example. So if you're having trouble getting your fort started, you can put it on 1/8 speed, and then you'll have a shitload of time, a shitload of in-game time to train up your militia and to get your farm started, all that shit. But one thing to note is that migrant waves, which is where you will get most of your people early on in the game, because you ain't gonna be having enough kids. You only start with a group of 7, so you ain't gonna be having enough kids to grow through that until you're a good 6 or 7 years into your fortress, and that can take a while. By then you very well may die due to a siege, or one of your dwarves may go insane and he'll kill his wife, and people will see that, they'll freak the fuck out, they'll go insane, they'll kill everybody, and then your fort's just fucked, right? So I usually set it to about, if I'm embarking in a dangerous area, I'm not gonna go over the areas right now, that's way too much. But if I'm embarking somewhere dangerous, I'll usually put it at 1/4. Since you're probably gonna be, you probably don't know what the fuck you're doing. You can go ahead and set it to 1/8. It's nothing bad about that. Okay, embark in migrants. This is where you can kind of cheat the game if you want. This determines how many dwarves or orcs, succubi, kobolds, whatever you're starting with. That determines how many you're gonna get, and points determines what you can buy with them, right? Because this is just a normal game, I'm starting with 7 and I'm starting with the normal points. If you wanted to be like super cheaty about it, you could give yourself 50 dwarves and you could give yourself 40,000 points and you could just steamroll the fucking game. But if you want to give yourself a little challenge, this is what I do. Sound, I don't need to explain that unless you're retarded. And this doesn't mean anything. Don't pay attention to this. Not for nothing, I don't know why he fucking put that in there. It's retarded and useless. Digging stop. Now, that will remove the pause and the recenter when you find damp or hot stones, and what that means, a damp stone is a stone under a river. And under the river is actually not dangerous, so I turn this on. And I turned it off, sorry. I turned it off and it removes the pause, that recenter, it's super fucking annoying. Transform. This is important, because if you have somebody in your fortress and they're a werewolf or a were-mammoth or a were-dragon, if they're a were-dragon, you're probably fucking dead. But if they're a were-anything, when they transform into their were-beast form, this will pop up saying, this guy is going fucking crazy, he's gonna kill everybody, get your militia there to stop him. So keep this on, trust me, keep it the fuck on. And settings. Okay, this also deals a lot with FPS, but there is some that doesn't. So, standardized leather, standardized meat, standardized wood. I usually turn off standardized milk just because there's some gameplay elements that I'm not going to spoil for you with some creatures' milk. Blood doesn't matter. I turn it off just because I like it that way. It doesn't matter. Standardized wood and standardized leather. I turn all of these off except for actually I turn them all off because I don't. It doesn't fuck with my FPS that most times. But what this means is that, for example, blood. When you butcher a creature and you have a bunch of meat, and then you take that meat and you squeeze all the blood out of it in a workshop, you have barrels of blood that you can use, you can drink, and if you got this from, say, a cow, if you got cow blood, then it will say cow blood. If you got, what's it fucking called? Like an eagle blood, whatever. It'll say eagle blood. And when you turn on standardization, that just makes it blood. This can help your FPS slightly, so if you have a really shitty computer, I recommend you turn all of these on. But if your computer's even slightly above average, leave them all off. It doesn't matter. Some meats are preferred by orcs, like I know myself, or by dwarves, orcs, whatever. I know myself, one of my orcs really liked cow meat, and anytime he ate beef, he would get a moodlet that made him like real fucking happy for a while. So there are benefits to having this on, as opposed to having it off. Standardized leather, you can turn it off, you can leave it on. That doesn't affect gameplay. I turn it off just because I like the idea of having elf hide. Yeah, you can murder elves as an orc and tan their skin. I just like that. Aquifers, keep this off. Aquifers are the worst fucking thing. They are the worst fucking thing. I turned this shit on when I was first starting because I was like, come on. How bad can it be? How bad can it really be? Fucking horrible. It's so fucking annoying to deal with. It's the worst shit. And what an aquifer is, some layers of stone are aquifers, and what that means is the water is inside the stones. So when you break the stone, water comes flowing out. And those stones are an infinite fucking generator of water. So to get rid of the fucking water, to get rid of all of the fucking stone with all the water, you gotta pump it all out. You have to pump all of it out, and that's so difficult. It's so fucking annoying, and I do not bother with this shit. Slower learning. If you're planning on playing orcs, or if you're planning on playing kobolds or succubus, turn this off, because the orcs, the kobolds, the succubi, they cannot overcome this slower learning. Dwarves, they can, because dwarven guild members will learn their skills at a 100% increased rate, and this is there to counteract that a little bit, so that it's a bit more balanced. They're shittier if you don't put in work, they're better if you put in the work. That's the idea, but you don't have any way to overcome this if you're not playing the dwarves. So if you're not going to play the dwarves, keep this off. However, later on, I will be playing the dwarves to walk you through that fort, so I'm keeping it on. Slower farming, this is also retarded, keep it off, it doesn't matter. Greedy nobles, this doesn't matter. This is all just shit that makes your game harder. This makes it easier. This makes it easier. But the rest of it will make it harder. And don't turn that on. Don't turn that on. What a tantrum is, it just sounds like, he's getting pissed, he's throwing shit around. Not really. A tantrum can make an orc go berserk. Or a dwarf, whatever, fuck it, you know what I mean. It can make somebody go berserk, and when they go berserk, they kill people. They don't just throw shit, which is what a tantrum normally is. They just pick up a table, they chuck it, it's no big deal. A tantrum is nothing compared to berserking, because he'll pick up like a fucking chair and he'll beat his wife's head in with it. And that's a big fucking problem. That's a big problem. Because then the wife's brother will see that, he'll go crazy, he'll kill somebody, they'll go crazy, it's a spiral. And that's what a tantrum spiral is. You may see that reference sometimes, tantrum spiral. That's what that is. And because I'm very careful, I've never died to one. But it is most certainly possible. Food types, this is just ornamental, it doesn't matter. Turn these off. If you want more types of food like mashed potato, mushrooms, whatever, you can turn that on. I I don't know what this is. I'm not sure what Patreon is. So, sorry about that. I don't know what Patreon is. Toy types, I keep this off because 90 toy types is just fucking... It's pointless, it doesn't add anything to the game, and it just makes it lag. FPS boosters, now we got the good shit. We got the good shit here. I turn this off, or I turn this on, because your food will just rot. With decaying food, it'll rot, and then it'll go away and it won't be stuck fucking with your FPS. Same with this. I keep decaying corpses on, but that's mostly because you can get rid of corpses by just digging down the magma and you chuck them in there. But if you have a corpse of an orc or a dwarf, you know, one of your fortress civilization creatures, and if they die and you don't bury them, they'll come back as ghosts and they'll fuck your shit up. So don't turn that on. This, I think it's broken right now. I tried turning it on and I got besieged by undead, and they just all fucking disintegrated immediately, and it was kind of anticlimactic. So I keep that off. Mods, okay. Keep this off. I tried playing with this once. Holy fuck, it was so broken. They would come up out of the caverns. This wasn't ghosts like normal ghosts where you just bury the corpse, it's all good. These ones you can't get rid of. You can't kill them, you can't do nothing, and they'll just possess your dwarves. I don't know why this mod exists. I don't know who made this, but it's fucking stupid. More letter, it's it's just basically, if you have an elephant and you kill the fucking elephant, you won't get five fucking leather from a huge ass elephant. You'll get more from it. And so I keep that on. This is adventures mode. I don't know what this means. Silk eggs. Some spiders will lay silk eggs, and you can spin that into silk so you're not forced to make the spider spit up silk webs and then collect that. So I keep that on. It's cool. I keep this off because I don't really know what this does. And when I had it on, I noticed that it was significantly more annoying trying to deal with the pets, so I don't bother with this. The Wild Hunt. This adds more beasts, plump helmets. This adds plump helmet men. They're like a plump helmet is a type of mushroom in Dwarf Fortress, and it's like the main fucking staple of your whole fort, because it's what you're mostly going to be growing, it's what you're going to be eating, it's what you're going to be brewing your booze out of. So I leave that on. I've never dealt with them personally because I never felt the need, but they're kind of cool. If you have too many of them, they might try to kill you though, so do be aware of that. Boogeymen, I think this is an adventures mode thing because I've never dealt with them. Deep ones, oof. This one's a bitch if you're playing as the dwarves, because as the description says, it adds a hidden cult to your fort, and only the dwarves gotta deal with it. And when they reveal themselves, they become uncontrollable. So it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, it's also kind of fucking annoying, and it's pretty difficult to deal with. So I'm gonna turn it off for now, just because I recommend that you turn this off. So I would definitely turn that off. This just adds more Arctic creatures if you're gonna embark in somewhere that's freezing, which I would not do for your first time, but if you're gonna do it, because you don't fucking listen, then keep that on and do that as well. The pet rock, I don't fucking know what this does. It's stupid. Secrets, I don't turn this on because it makes mining difficult, and that's really not something that you can deal with when you're just starting out and you're just learning the game. This is fine. If you like historic armor and arms, you can turn this on. I don't give a fuck. Terrible weapons. these are terrible in both senses of the word, but they're supposed to be. They're cheap to produce, they're fast to produce, and it's shit like meat cleavers, trowels, meat hooks. They're not that good as weapons, but you can make a shitload of them. So you can turn it on if you want. Because there's 42 of them and it might fuck your FPS, I don't really keep them on. These are... I'm not really sure. I played with these once and I didn't notice any reason to use any of them. But if you're going for like a roleplay thing, you can check it out. Just click this link here and it'll show you everything. I'm not going into that. I've been talking enough already. And we're barely a third of the way through. This just adds Dragon's Dogma shit. I don't know what that is. This adds shit from World of Warcraft. I keep all these on because I like more things to come and try to kill me. Same with this. I turn this off because it makes 5% of the animal population homosexual, and it says, as in real life, but I don't really think animals are homosexual. I gotta be honest. I don't really think they're Peter Puffers. I think they're just dudes who get bored because there's no women around and then they fuck each other. So I turn this off. This is good because it will make your war beasts more dangerous, but do keep in mind it will make wild animals around your fort. It'll make them more dangerous too. I keep this on as well because you can brew distinct types of shit. Like you can make rum out of plum helmets, you can make wine out of glow caps and shit like that. So if you have a specific character that you want to keep happy, like maybe they're pissed off, maybe one of their kids died, I don't fucking know, you can make them some wine and they'll get the fuck over it. Civs. Now, the Hermit is one guy. You won't get sieged and you won't have any caravans coming to you, but it's just one dude. It's one dude. I don't see the point in playing this, so I keep it off. Humans, I'm not sure that this fort is done yet, so I keep it off. Orcs, I turn that on. Succubi, turn that on. Kobolds, all of these. Okay, what active means is that they will come and they will try to siege you. Werebeasts are a fucking nightmare to be sieged by, but I'm gonna turn them on. So, fort means that when you enable it, you can play it in fortress mode. Adventure, that just means you can play them as an adventure character. I don't play that, so who cares? I don't think any of these are actually complete yet, so I keep them off. Invaders, oof. This will turn on more civs that you can't play, but will try to kill you. And not all of them are civs that will build forts. Some of them will just come and try to kill you for no fucking reason. These ones are the easier of them. The beak wolves are not difficult. You can turn most of these on. I would not turn the water elephants on. Keep the war elephants they're way too dangerous. The white tigermen, I keep them on, cause the war tigermen, if you're playing an orc, you can actually you can trade with them, and it's pretty cool. The frogmen, you can trade with them if you're a dwarf. The Jotuns, I think they'll seize you no matter what. Minotaurs, same shit. So I don't turn these on. The giants, they'll fucking kill you. Minotaurs, spider fiends. Yeah, I think that's good. Creatures. Now this just adds more shit. These are all the vanilla things, so keep all of these on. These are extra shit if you want them. You can get sapient creatures like just random shit like different types of elves and whatnot. Surface creatures. I think that has to do with like animals and shit. Mega beasts. What a mega beast is like a cyclops. That's what a mega beast is. Night creature is a shit like vampires. There's a lot of other shit that are like this. Like necromancers are technically night creatures. You have different sort of monsters. Like there's some that kidnap people and they rape them. That's rather dark. They rape them and they turn them into night creatures like themselves, and then they have kids. It's pretty fucked up now that I think about it, but there's some like that. This adds more werebeasts. I turn this on because it's fucking cool. And what this does, I turn this on cool because I think turn this on too because I think it's cool. This adds some vampires that can do other things that other vampires can't. Like, I met one vampire who regrew his fucking arm. Normal vampires can't do that. But that same vampire who regrew his arm, he died when the sun come up. And normal vampires are immune to the sunlight. I'm not gonna go over that, because this is, oof. I'm not gonna go into what clowns are. You're gonna have to discover that for yourself. Cavern creatures, this is, underground, when you're digging, you'll find caves. And it's at set intervals, so you'll know when they're coming. But this is just shit that'll come out of the caverns. This is shit that's in the water. If you're not next to an ocean, this mostly doesn't matter. But I turn it on if you're planning to fish. And then this adds shit from MASTERWORK Dwarf Fortress. This will make the game harder to leave all of it on, but if you turn them off, what's even the point in playing MASTERWORK, honestly? So, just keep all of these on. This is all shit that you can decide if you don't like certain buildings. I keep all of these on. There's no point. This is just decorative shit, doesn't matter. Keep all of these on if you want. If you don't like some of these buildings, you can turn them off. Personally, don't see the fucking point in doing that myself. But, you know, I would think you wouldn't really want to limit the fucking civilization you're playing. But hey, some people like to cut their fucking legs off and roll around in wheelchairs. So, if that's your thing, go ahead. World Gen, this oh, this is the difficult part. Okay, so you see all this shit here, all this shit in this drop down. Okay, large island, large region. I'm just gonna go over those two. Region means like it's one. Your world will be one huge fucking continent. Everything will be connected by land, and if you want to be besieged by a lot of shit, this is the way to go. This is the way to go. Large region. Well, I think it's my favorite one, but you might like the large island more. And what large island means is that there's actually many. It says island, but there's many different islands. So one region might be one big continent, but large island will be like 4 different big islands that are close together. And medium, small, pocket, that decides the size of your world. Starter's world, I've never tried this, so I don't know what that means. Okay, so plains, diverse, desert. Glacier means that your entire world will be freezing. I don't know why you would play this, since all regions, all islands, in the north and the south, much like the poles in the real world, there's ice up there too. So I don't know why you would do this, but if you like being in a frozen hellhole, go right ahead. Be my guest. Okay, good biome. Fuck, this is gonna take forever to fucking explain. A good biome means that there are creatures in there that are benign. And benign means that they are non-aggressive. They won't generally attack your fort. So if you're looking for a place that has really terrifying monsters that you can catch in your cages and you can train them, this ain't the place for you. You won't. I personally have never seen a dangerous animal in a good biome. You'll see giant ones, but I've never seen a dangerous one. So you can find giant sloths. You can find giant what's the fucking called? You can find like giant wrens. A wren is a type of bird. You know, you can find giant birds, some giant spiders, some of the non-aggressive ones like giant tarantulas, they're non-aggressive. Giant jumping spiders, despite the name, they're actually non-aggressive. You can find ones like that, but you ain't gonna be finding any giant jaguars, giant lions, giant things like that. So if you're looking for a place where you can get some good war animals, this ain't it. Because this means the entire world will be like that. But you can get special plants. You can get sunberry, which makes the best liquor in the game. You can get featherwood, and what featherwood is, it's wood that weighs nothing. And for obvious reasons, this is useful for making furniture. It's bad if you're making arrows and shit like that, but only some of the trees are featherwood, so you're still fine. This just means that there are going to be a lot of tiny, like a lot of small, different biomes instead of bigger biomes. I don't see the point in playing this one either. This one can be difficult because it means your whole world is a desert with lots of volcanoes. And a volcano is actually useful because it means there's lava and magma up near the top. And magma can be used as an infinite fuel source. So this is useful, but the desert part will make it hard to play because there won't be no seeds that you can harvest from your area. There won't be no wood. As you would suspect, it's a fucking desert. So if you want to harvest shit, you're gonna have to go down into the caverns, and that can take a while. So you might die before you get down there. It's kind of interesting. It's doable, but not recommended for your first time. This just means that every civilization will be placed on a separate island. No point to this. Swamp, evil biomes. Now, despite the fact that it says swamp, there will actually be different types of swamp. There are freshwater swamps that are not that hard to play in, and then saltwater swamps, and those will be almost impossible to play in. For your first time, it's almost impossible, because you can't drink salt water, but water, water for the first year of your game is gonna be mostly what you're drinking until you get your booze up and running. So I don't play this yet. And evil biomes, whew, evil biomes are fucking scary. Some evil biomes have different curses. All evil biomes have different curses, but some of them, well, when people die or when animals die, they'll come back to life in an evil biome. And this is problematic for multiple reasons, one being that you can't eat rotten meat. So if you butcher an animal, or if you kill an animal, and it comes back to life, and you kill it again by caving its brain in, that means you can't eat it anymore. So you can only do farming here. Because if you try to butcher an animal, its skin will come back to life, and that'll attack you. So, so butchering is incredibly dangerous in most of evil biomes. Some and all evil biomes have different types of rain. Some of this rain is not a problem. Sometimes it just rains blood. Other times, it will rain acid, or it will rain water that is contaminated, and the water will make your dwarves' skin melt off. And that's if it's a more mild type of disease or poison. So, so as you can imagine, embarking in an evil biome is sometimes pretty fucking difficult. So don't do that. This, you can figure from what I've already told you, you can figure the rest of this out. Geomagic just means there's gonna be a lot of necromancer towers, a lot of shit like that. We're gonna be doing large island, because I plan on teaching you on an island that has nothing in it, so that you won't be besieged unless you want to, or you can try to find an island that only has one type of besieger. Okay, so hostiles and interactions, what this means. This is not types of mega beasts or types of things. Oh wait, yeah, it is, sorry. It's the different types of things. With with semi-mega beasts and mega beasts and titans, this is how many of them will be placed. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, what the fuck, why are there so few of them? I mean, you can see the population cap, 15,000. That's not much. It actually is. That's a good number. Because what a titan is. A bronze colossus is a titan. And a bronze colossus is 50 feet tall. I don't know what that is in meters. Go look it up, suck my dick. I'm not doing that shit right now. It's 50 feet tall, and it is solid fucking bronze. And if you don't have a militia or an army that is equipped with steel weapons, you can't hurt it. You need steel or better to hurt them. And that's not, you can't really you can't really get steel quickly. So if you get besieged by a bronze titan early on in your game, you're fucking done. You are fucking done. Because they can also smash down doors, they can topple walls. You're just fucked. You're just fucked, to put it simple. And a mega beast can be shit like cyclopses. Cyclopes? I don't fucking know. It can be shit like giants, it can be shit like ettins. It can be different types of randomly generated things. Like one time I got besieged by a half dragon, half lion thing, and it breathed poison gas, and it killed my whole fort, because the poison gas made everybody sick. So, trust me when I say this is a lot. Each one of these can wipe out a civilization all on their own. Demons, that'll change the different types of them. Same with night creatures, boogeymen, vampires. Everything below titans is interactions. An interaction is basically something when, like, say if you're just a normal guy and you get infected by a vampire, you don't actually become a vampire. Your race remains the same. You are a dwarf who has been cursed with vampirism. And the way the curse is transmitted is through an interaction. So that's what all that shit means. When a demon is generated via interaction, it is random. So you can have like a giant chipmunk demon with a bunch of iron scales on it. And that was decided through an interaction. That's what that means. Caverns. This will decide how many caverns there are in your world. I just leave it at 3. Cavern openness, don't fuck with any of this, it can make your game crash. Levels above first cavern, second cavern, third cavern. Okay, so what that means is it's like you have your cavern, and then 5 levels above that is the surface. And when you dig down 5 layers, you'll have your cavern. And then you dig down 6 layers, and you have your second cavern. That's what the 1 means. It's adding on a 1 to that. So then, 7 layers down, past your second cavern, you'll have your third. And then, above your magma, 8 levels below that, I think it's 8 levels, I could be wrong, it's kind of wonky how this works, you'll have your magma ocean. Oh boy. Don't look at any of this unless you want to spoil something for yourself. But don't look at HFS, because that means happy fun stuff. Don't look at that. But there is a magma ocean at the very bottom, so even if you get totally fucked and you don't have any trees, you don't have any naturally occurring fuel, which would be like bituminous coal, lignite, shit like that, you'll still have magma that you can use as a fuel source. And 1 block of magma, 1 tile I should say, is infinite. Number of civs, this is how many different civs, like civilizations, will be generated at the very start of the world. And what that means is, well, you can have like 10 dwarven civilizations, 10 elven ones, 10, you see where this is going. So I usually put it up at like 70, because that means there will be enough civilizations that it will be nice and varied. and you'll have lots of different people to kill and lots of different people to trade with. Embark points, that's the same shit at the beginning. It lets you buy shit when you're starting off. End year, this is when your world will stop generating. So I set this to 120 because 1050, a lot of civilizations will die out by then, and the ones that are remaining will be very far along. So if you're unlucky enough to get besieged by one, you're probably fucked. Unless you're really, really good, you're probably fucked. This just means the world's total population cap. You can set it to -1, and that means it's unlimited, but that can severely fuck your game up. I have a good PC, so I set it to 40,000. I would recommend keeping it at 15,000 if you're not sure about your PC. Mineral scarcity. That means the lower it is, the more ores you're gonna have. I set it to about 200 because that means you'll have more than enough ore to do shit with, but you'll also have enough stone and it won't be too much ore. Good areas, evil areas, don't fuck with this, just don't do it, just don't bother, it's fine as it is. Cave size, this mostly will affect shit in adventure mode, so if you're just looking to play Fortress, leave that alone. Oh my god, this video is so fucking long. So that's basically the initialization. And now you understand why this game is so hard to fucking get into. I spent all this fucking time just talking about initialization. It's gonna take even longer once I get into the game. So, we're gonna cut off here, and then after this, now we've got all our shit set up, I'm gonna go ahead and launch the game, and we're gonna get into that.